Gee, Steve, what are we going to do tonight?
Same thing we do every podcast. Tell him how we sees it.
Sir?
What is this? Crypto! What the hey, dude? I thought you destroyed the whole Superman robots. I thought I told you to keep an eye on him.
We feed the canine, but he is unruly. And he realizes we are not flesh and blood and couldn't, in our heart of hearts, care less whether he lives or dies.
Stop, Crypto, leave it. Ow, ow, stop. Ow, stop it. Crypto, ow, ow, stop it, stop. Sit, stay.
All right, here we go. It's How We Sees It, episode 295. This week, we're coming to you with the Superman 2025 film, just recently released, not too long ago. This was a James Gunn rewriting the ECU. I'm not even sure if they're even calling that anymore, the DCEU.
No, they're not. No, but I'm not sure what they're
basically, yeah, this is kind of like we don't want to do Schneider anymore, so we're kind of redoing this whole thing, and it's going to be a new.
I think it's just the DCU now, not EU, but DCU, okay. DC Universe, and this is the first Superman movie that is just called Superman.
What was the original in '78?
Superman the movie.
Oh.
I think this was originally called Superman Legacy, but it got changed to
shortened
just Superman, and this is the first film in the Gods and Monsters series of the DCU. So we'll see.
I think they're calling it a chapter.
I think
it's
we gotta get the lingo down. DCU chapters.
What was the Infinity the saga, right? The Infinity Saga was what Marvel was calling there. So they're like, no, we can't have a saga. We can't have it's going to be a chapter, which is, whatever. I mean, if James Gunn can reinvent DC movies and get them back into people loving them, all the power to him. I'm all for that. So, I'm good with that. And I think this was a good start with it.
This was a lot of fun. This is a fun movie.
It was. Yeah, we'll talk a lot more about that because there's a lot to it that was really interesting and a lot of fun. But before we talk about that, we got to talk about some other fun and interesting things, and that's going to be our cocktails. And I think these are going to be fun and interesting because I know you saw this a lot earlier, and I did. I only had one day to find, decide, and create my cocktail for this movie, which, when you're under the gun, the James Gunn of it, essentially. Sometimes it's a little more difficult to figure these out, but I think I came up with a good one, and nice. I'm curious to see what you got. So okay. I will go first real quick. I started off, I called mine the Krypton Bad Dog.
Mm-hmm. Krypton or Crypto?
Crypto.
Okay.
Crypto, the Bad Dog. And I did this essentially because it's one of the funnier things in the movie, and it's one of those things that I really got a laugh out loud of me in the theater. And it starts right off the bat when he whistles for the dog, and it comes running up and just starts jumping on him.
Right. Oh my gosh! And the thumps on his chest every time.
Yeah.
Every time Crypto jumps, it's
and you're like, what the hell's going on? And like,
especially because that shot is that sequence. Whoever's following trailers or following this movie saw that whole sequence in the very first trailer that was released. So that's exactly how the movie begins. And so that was the first thing that basically jumped out at you. It's something completely like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was just going to be...
I mean, they show the dog showing up,
right?
And you're like, oh, he's going to rescue him. But then for him to just jump on him...
You realize, oh, this is a dog.
And then it also goes to there's a line later on in the movie where he's like, well, it's more of a rescue dog. And he's like, well, it's not even yours. He's like, yeah, but he's not even a really good dog either. So I was like, oh, that's so funny. Made me laugh. Anyway, so I was kind of trying to figure out how to do this. And there is a cocktail out there called a Bad Dog, and it's based off a little bit off of Greyhound. And I was kind of taking a little bit from that. So it basically gave me the grapefruit basis that I wanted to go with. So I started looking around for what I wanted to put in this. And I found it's a Buffalo Trace White Dog Mesh #1. It is a high potency rye whiskey, and when I mean high potency, I'm talking like 125 proof. It don't fuck around.
Nice. Cask strength type.
Yeah, really, really nice and clear. But I just thought it worked out perfect because it's White Dog, and he's a white dog, and so I started with that, and I went with 2.5 ounces because I mean. You go with high potency, and you got to go with enough of it in a drink to really make this, a bad dog, right? It's got to have some bite to it because he bite him a lot. I wanted to go with the ruby red grapefruit, so I did 2 ounces of that after. So 2.5 ounces of the White Dog Mesh 1, 2 ounces of ruby red grapefruit. I was trying to think of what's going to make this flavorful and drinkable too, because it's got to be that. I did an ounce of elderflower because I kind of wanted to just get a little bit of something to help bring out that grapefruit, and elderflower typically does that for me. I also did a half ounce of grapefruit bitter milk.
Grapefruit doesn't do it on its own. Doesn't bring out that grapefruit.
It's kind of like the belts and suspenders.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All
right. And then I found this not too long ago. This bitter milk charred grapefruit tonic, and I did a half ounce of that just because it adds a little bit of that chard to it, a little bit of heavy, just tasty grapefruit tonic to it. Half ounce of lime juice, poured it in there, and then you got to have a little bite with this because the dog has a little bit of bite in him, a little bit of angst. So I topped all that off with a ginger beer. So I did a Fever Tree ginger beer on top of that. So not only do you got that grapefruit kind of flavor, but then you got that ginger on top of it to give you a little bit of spice and bite at the end of it.
That sounds good.
And this is my crypto, the Bad Dog.
Very nice.
And it's very good.
Nice.
I like it. The ginger really kind of follows it. You get that smooth grapefruit with a little bit of it's got a good alcohol flavor to it. It's not so syrupy or fruity that you don't feel like you're drinking a cocktail. And then that ginger really comes in afterwards and gives you a kick in the teeth a little.
Very good.
Nice. So that's my Bad Dog. All right, Steve, what do you got?
All right. I had a hard time coming up with a cocktail. I didn't want to just, make a cocktail that was based on one of the superheroes or anything kind of straightforward. I think the reason why was because to me this movie had a very powerful emotional punch, which is interesting because it's very comic booky. I mean, it's right out of the comic books, right out of the animated series, kind of in the way it is. But it comes across really like leans into that empathy and some of that caring and a lot of that stuff. And I didn't know how to really create a cocktail with that in mind without it just being kind of too, right? Well, so I was watching some Easter egg videos online. And one of the things that I spotted was pointed out, it was actually pointed out incorrectly in the video, and I did a little more research and found out exactly what it was, is right next to the Daily Planet in Metropolis, there's a bar. When he walks in, and they pointed it out in the Easter egg video. They said it's called the Wooded Duck, but it's not called the Wooded Duck. It's called the Wounded Duck, and it's a jazz lounge style cocktail bar. And there's actually some history to it. It's part of Tim Drake's storyline. I read a little bit about it. Tim Drake was, I think, the third Robin, and he opens up some sort of cocktail bar, and it's called the Wounded Duck. And so anyway, they placed it there. The Wounded Duck, the name of it kind of resonated because there's that sequence when Superman right at the opening of the movie he falls, but also when he gets thrown down onto the ground and it makes that big crater. I don't know if you noticed it, but it falls down right in front of the Metropolis Museum of Modern Art, and it has on kind of spray painted on the wall of the Modern Art Museum shows some birds and then some planes, kind of in kind of a montage. Well, not montage. What, I don't know, like a just painted on the wall.
Yeah.
And that's where he falls right in front of. And so it's like, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman.
Yeah.
But this idea of the wounded duck, because a duck is a type of bird, I thought, oh, that's kind of, maybe they're playing on that too. Maybe not. But so I decided to come up with a cocktail menu for the wounded duck. And I thought I could just come up with something that's kind of leans into some of the emotional ideas that I like about this, but it would be something that is almost cosplaying for this actual jazz lounge style bar. So that's what I tried to do. I tried to come up with legit cocktails that would fit in this place right next to the Daily Planet. So the first one, I did try to tie them to the characters a little bit. So the first one I called The Fallen Feather, which is kind of a play off the Wounded Duck, but it also leans into this idea of Superman falling and, being a bird type, feather. Anyway. And I liked that because it leaned into a little bit more the emotional side of his character. Feather just had a softer feel to it. His empathy kind of shines through. So that's kind of what I modeled here. Again, I didn't, the ingredients were just kind of, I was looking at the emotional feel of the ingredients. I know that sounds stupid, but that's kind of where I was going with this. So I used some rye whiskey. I layered some rye, a tawny port, some honey syrup, and a touch of Amaro with some chocolate bitters. I went in with the chocolate bitters just because he does drink his cocoa at one point. And but I liked this because it was a lounge style cocktail, soft, a little jazzy. It would fit kind of this nightclub vibe. So that was my Fallen Feather. But then I paired with that, since I'm dealing with a menu, I paired with that a cocktail, and I thought, well, who do you pair with Superman? Just like you got to pair the dog. So this I called the Loyal Companion. This is a little bit more I tried to lean into this idea of trust and connection, and kind of, well, it's bright, playful, golden. I used some golden rum and some drambuie, fresh lemon, honey. And then I added a little bit of sparkling dry cider on top. Served it on the rocks. I served it with a nice big rock, and I put it in my rocks glass that I have my youngest dog, Sasha, etched into, because Crypto absolutely reminded me of Sasha. In fact, when we were watching the movie, I had such a good time watching this with my wife the first time, because anytime Crypto appeared, and you called out that scene when Crypto's jumping all over Superman. Yeah. She wouldn't laugh out loud, but her whole body would just kind of like shake with amusement, because that's exactly what we're dealing with Sasha. She's loving and stuff like that, but then she will just kind of go to town on you with the way she jumps on you and stuff. And they really leaned into that. So I thought Crypto reminded me of Sasha. So anyway, this is more of a cosplay of cocktails. It's not. It's the idea is I wanted these cocktails to fit into the Wounded Duck. So I called it my Wounded Duck cocktail duo. So with the Fallen Feather and the Loyal Companion. And I think I told you most of the ingredients, but you can get all the actual measurements on our website at hwsi.podbean.com.
Nice. Yeah, no, we definitely, and go back and check out our older episodes to see some of the cocktails. I think for about the last 20, we've been putting them on the podcast.
Yeah, you can actually see the pictures on. I think you can only see the pictures on that website. I don't think those upload to other podcasts, but the recipes do upload to other podcasts.
Yeah, I need to go back and start adding some more to the older ones. There's a lot of things I really need to do. This podcast a full-time job, but one of these days we'll get to it if I ever retire. This was fun. I'm glad we got a chance to do this, because I hadn't seen it, and this got me to the theater to see this, which in the past DC movies have not been good, right? They just don't really hit. The Snyderverse was kind of weird. Like, there was a lot of things that were problematic with that. The Flash movie was kind of real bad. Wonder Woman 2, the second Wonder Woman was just they weren't hitting like they were. There was some things like, you know, we had not too long ago, and I can't wait for the second season to drop, but we had Peacemaker was a mini series that was really fun, and it was kind of like okay, why can't you guys do that with the movies?
Yeah, and that was James Gunn. He did all those.
It was. Yeah. And so it made me kind of excited to see this, because I was like, okay, well, maybe they're gonna make this work. And I think they did. I think it's not 100% the best, you know, like there's some things that could have been better.
Yeah. It's funny because people are asking me how it was afterwards, and I paused and I would say I really enjoyed watching it. I took me a little while to kind of formulate an idea, but it was one of those movies that I just really enjoyed watching. It was a lot to take in, and there were certain things that didn't quite resonate, but it was really fun. And it takes for granted the fact that we're so well accustomed to superhero movies now, because you know that when Superman the movie came out in 78, if they started throwing all these extra characters, people would go, whoa, this is ridiculous, this is for kids and stuff like that. And, you know, I don't want this. That was kind of the beginning of kind of grounded superheroes, and that started a trend for a while, trying to make those superhero movies more grounded and realistic. But now we're in a place where, you know, people don't need all the kind of the grounded backstory or this understanding. They're okay. We get it. This is a wild universe that's not like ours, and we know what superheroes are. So
here's how I feel about this, and this is kind of my feeling in Superman in general. Like the Snyderverse movies, they tried to go kind of dark and serious with Superman, and it was one of those is like, he was able to make those films, and yes, the Superman fits in that, but he's such a character that's so overpowered in general, and kind of this Boy Scout and stuff like that. It's like, it's almost hard to watch a movie where he's so serious and not, you know, and everything's so serious. But Batman works for that, because that's the Batman character.
Brooding. Yeah. There's something that kind of works with that idea. Yeah. The cynicism.
This to me felt like a comic book. Right, you know, the world building, the like his golly Josh, you know, or his non-cussing nature felt
what the hey, what the hey,
yeah, and just some of the there's a scene where he's talking to Lois in her apartment, and the Justice Gang are in the background fighting a big jellyfish looking eyeball thing, and it just goes on and on and on in the background, and you're like that's just the world here. It's like they're used to this stuff. That's
you know, right off the bat, they do the whole 3 centuries ago, the first metahuman appeared, you know, 3 decades ago, 3 decades ago.
A lot of threes.
Superman, and then 3, a lot of threes. But I think the idea there is they're trying to establish that if 3 centuries ago the first metahuman showed up, this world is not the same as what we know of this world. And and I think that's when you saw a lot of people, when things were going on in the background, and some of them were like, psh, that's just, I don't even want to look. You know, that's just going on. People weren't freaked out necessarily, because this is just more normal. And it was interesting to kind of be faced with that and look at characters and go, or like some background people just say, why aren't they just like freaking the fuck out? You know, here you got this giant thing that's roaming around, spitting fire and gobbling up things. And, you know, people are just like, some people are a little bit more upset, but other people are just kind of like, I'm doing my business. I'm still serving hot dogs to these people. And that's I think why. I think that's the world he was trying to establish was not one that this is a shocker. This is all kind of more commonplace.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this one work compared to the Snyderverse, where you know, this is very comic booky. This is right up James Gunn's alley. You know, we got a lot of the same kind of, I mean, and when I also say this worked, it also didn't work in some things, and this is where I think he was repeating stuff he's done before. Within Marvel with the Guardians of the Galaxy, he kind of like he gave us the same damn scene with just new players. Which I was like, okay, it was great in there, and yes, it kind of worked, but it's also like, give us something new a little bit.
What are you calling out something specific? I've got a couple things in mind that I agree with you.
Mr. Fantastic's battle where him and Lois are going to find Superman, and they're in the
Mr. Terrific, Mr.
Terrific,
yeah,
not Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Terrific, and he has that fight going on where he's just beating everybody's ass. That is from the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy, where Groot is doing his thing and everybody's fighting in the background, and also then there's
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when they're like on the when it's little Groot,
and then there's also Yondu, right, does his arrow zipping around, kind of the same thing, and then there's also in Guardian Galaxy 3 where they do the slow motion fight with everybody. It's like, okay, you've done that already. It was cool and all, but it would also like.
I wonder if he considers it a staple of his work that he wants to kind of take with him with a lot of the movies he does. I'm just curious. I see what you're saying. There was some.
It was fun, but it also was like, okay. Afterwards, I was kind of.
Some of the humor was very James Gunn humor, Guardians of the Galaxy humor.
Oh yeah.
And I rolled my eyes at a lot of it. A lot of the some of it was just like, okay, I get it. I mean, I liked Green Lantern. I thought he was funny, but it was just like the same thing over and over again. He kind of got a little tired. I wish we saw a little bit more. I don't want to say depth, but just something different than just his.
Here's the story with the Green Lantern that they had. He plays Guy Gardner,
right?
Who is really known as the shittiest person in the area in DC. Like, he's just not a good guy. He's kind of an asshole. He's like, he played him literally comic accurate, down to the haircut.
I know. I saw a picture of a comic.
Fought for that haircut. Yeah. Like, he's literally like, no, I got to have that bowl cut. Like, you got to give that to me, because that's just part of him. And I thought that really worked. We got Hawk Girl in this, and it's funny. Every time I listen to the different podcasts, I'm gonna try to really pronounce Hawk, because every time people were saying it, it sounded like they were just saying Hot Girl. And I'm like, all right. She was fun and all, and there's various iterations on different shows where they've had the Hawk Girl person is. I thought she was fine. I thought she did great. Some people loved it, but I didn't like her little screechy as she was flying. I don't know where that came.
It was a strange, like they put like a wide angle lens on her, and she was just. Yeah. It was like a camera attached to her head, and she was doing these like.
I didn't like that. Other than that, I thought she was pretty cool.
I thought she was cool. I didn't think there was enough of her, but I thought she had one of the best moments when she got to
drop the
I'm
not Superman.
Yeah, I'm not Superman.
Bam!
Yeah. That was, and then it cuts to the Alka-Seltzer dropping into the cup.
Right. Mr. Terrific, he is I remember seeing him for the first time in I think it's it's one of the DC series. I want to say it was like Legends of Tomorrow or one of those, where kind of very similar. He has, or maybe it was Arrow. Maybe it's Arrow.
Arrow, right. There's talk about that he was on the television show, right?
And it was one of those, it's like the goofiest, like the little T across his face. It's like, oh my God, it's so comic goofy.
It's comic book accurate though, too, at least as far as the 1997 he was first introduced, or this iteration of him, Michael Holt, because he did come. There was a Terry Sloan, Mr. Terrific, too. From back.
I thought it was great 42. As far as like he was very interesting and very fun and did a good job. I don't know, like he's not the guy I would have thought to be the big battle dude. Like I wouldn't have expected him to be the one that just whooped all that ass on his own in that big fight. It was like
with his circles.
Yeah. Don't call them circles. They're not flat. They're spheres.
But that was that. I know that was funny. I liked that. That was. I mean, that's James Gunn humor there, which
it's perfect.
You get a lot of that. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy style humor. Yeah.
The way they played him, that's what he was. He's kind of like an angry guy. He's like, I ain't got time for you guys. I'm too smart for you motherfuckers. I almost was like, you could almost make that a Samuel L. Jackson character, You know, he just had, like, if he would have dropped a motherfucker on somebody, I'd have been like, oh hell yeah. It just, he had that thing. You know, he's kind of the Mr. Fantastic of the DC. He's supposed to be super genius kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, making all the stuff. And so, and I think they played him really well. I really enjoyed that. And I like the Justice Gang. I love their little headquarters, right? It's right out of the Super Friends cartoon, you know, with the, you know, it always showed that oval. It's based off a train station in St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that the one where they're just sitting in the middle of this big, huge space, and where he's talking about?
But do you remember the front of it when they show it? It's like exactly like it is in the comics and in the cartoon, and it's that's where, you know, everything happened. And it was always, they'd show the front and kind of like that, and then they'd zip in and they'd be inside at a big round table or whatever. But I love they go into this and it's like they're just moved in. They're still like plastic up everywhere and boxes, like they haven't finished moving in or anything like that. And I enjoyed that, and I kind of just I thought it was a good, almost like a side quest in the movie, where it's like it's not all about Superman. We got these other guys in here, and we're talk to them a little bit, enough to really let it kind of breathe later on when Superman had to do one thing and there had to be this other team to do another thing.
Yeah, James Gunn is not afraid of throwing a lot of characters into a movie. I mean, you look at the ones he's done. Obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy is a big team, but he's got all sorts of side characters in that, and the Suicide Squad. I think he did the Suicide Squad.
The second one, the one that had Peacemaker,
full of crazy characters. Even Peacemaker has, you know, lots of characters coming in and out of all over the place. So he's really not afraid of that, and that's unusual for a Superman movie, because Superman, I don't know. You think of a Superman movie that thinks you think of a movie that is solely about Superman. You know, so that's what it felt like. This movie just out of the bag decided, fuck it, I'm going to jump the shark, and that's my take. But this really leaned into the television comic superheroes side of things, and so wouldn't it have been weird to see Henry Cavill? I mean, I think because there was talk about him, you know, playing the role for James Gunn, but it just wouldn't have worked, because you know, he would have had to completely change up so much.
Cavill, I mean, he can do comedy. I think he could have pulled it off.
I agree, but I think it's hard to change. You know, it's very much like if they went the route they were going to go with not Punisher. What's the blind guy?
Daredevil?
Daredevil. Remember how they were going to do Daredevil? They started going down one path that was completely going to kind of change the character a little bit, and then they got, you know, the writing was on the wall that, hey, the audience wants to see the old Netflix Daredevil or else, and so they you know, midstream they decided to rewrite some stuff and try to give us the same Daredevil. It would have been weird to see this new Daredevil, which we saw a little tease of in the She-Hulk.
Right.
And it was like, oh, okay, this is the same actor, but he's kind of portraying things a little bit different. That would have been odd. I think people would have a hard time. I do agree with you, what you say, that he could have pulled it off. Henry Cavill's a very, you know, he's got a lot more talent.
He's got a look to him that would work too. So David Corenswet is the new Superman, and I think he did an okay job. Going into it, I was not like, oh my God, he looks like Superman. But by the end of it, I was like, okay, I buy him. I buy him as Superman.
Yeah.
I buy him as Clark Kent. He was, interesting enough, he's the tallest to ever play. He's 6'4".
Oh, okay.
And it really shows up when he's walking in as Clark Kent off the street. And I'm like, either he's a normal sized guy and they hired everybody that was 5 foot tall to be around him, or he's actually a really tall guy and they still hire people 5'6" and below, because he's like towering over everybody as he's walking in off the street.
I was really kind of, I didn't I didn't really like his Clark Kent look in the trailer when I saw him walking in because his, he looks lanky and goofy and his hair is all kind of curly and stuff, which apparently I guess is kind of comic book accurate, the curly hair, or at least one part of comics. But now when I watched it the second time, I was actually really impressed with, hey, this is a Clark Kent that you're not going to look at and go, oh, nobody's going to buy that that's not Superman unless he's got the hypnotic glasses that are really working overtime or something, which they do mention, the hypnotic glasses. That
I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh, that's really clever. Like, really just kind of give it to him.
And then Green Lantern's like, oh, so you know it's Clark Kent? This guy.
Yeah.
Does he trust everyone?
Right. Oh, it's so bad with it. Like, Guy Gardner is so good in this. Nathan Fillion fucking kills it as him. I almost want. Well, I mean, we're gonna get a Lantern movie.
I think it's a show, a series, and I think he's. I don't think he's not a main character, but he's a recurring.
No, but he's gonna show up,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm all for that. Green Lantern. That's actually one of the DC comics that I did read as a child was the Green Lantern Corps.
I do want to see some more from his character. I think there's potential, and maybe there was a decision. We don't want to go too deep into him because this is still a full cast, and we can't. You can't.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I think hit the cutting room floor. Apparently, there was a like 20 minutes that was with the Jimmy Olsen character, and we got a throwback to our Miss Taskmaster.
Miss Taskmaster. Yep, exactly.
Yes. So so apparently there was like another 20 minutes of stuff between them that didn't make it to the movie, which okay. Apparently it was kind of racy and stuff like that, so maybe it wouldn't have fit in this film. But yeah, who knows what other stuff was with the rest of the Justice gang and stuff like that, what didn't make it. I thought it worked out really well. I thought they gave us a little bit of everybody, a lot, enough to really work, with everything we had. I could have used more of them. I would have liked to seen more of them. Like
you mentioned yeah, okay, but I want to get back to, you mentioned Jimmy Olsen, and I don't want to go too far. They really played into his, how all the girls just thought he was amazing. And it almost, I don't know what they were really kind of going for. Like I think he wasn't quite sure what it was. But you see, so you don't know what that was about. I wasn't sure if there was something from the comic books or something.
Nobody I listened to knew what it was about either. I don't know if that's something from a comic somewhere or what. I was like, yeah, why?
I thought it was interesting because it's like here he's putting off some sort of pheromones that
exactly
that audiences don't necessarily see, and yet I think just the more they convince you of it, that this guy, it almost like it rubs off. It's like, I could see, maybe I could see it. Yeah.
Well, I do know that he was the most comic accurate Jimmy that we've ever had. Right? He has the look. He looks like he jumped right out of the comic books.
Yeah.
And I mean, same with Lois. She was so freaking good in this.
Marvelous Miss Maisel, right? Isn't that who that was? Yeah.
I'm trying to find her name here.
Rachel Brosnahan or Brosnahan.
I'll go with that. Yeah. Rachel as Lois Lane. To me, I was like, God damn, she killed it. I really thought she was great as Lois Lane, and then Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Now, this is the biggest one that I saw people were either loved,
split,
hated. There wasn't a lot of middle ground. It was kind of like you either really liked him or you really didn't.
Yeah, I was more enamored with him at the end of the movie. I thought. But I almost think that was how it was written. You didn't get much going in. You just kind of got this grumpy guy that had, had it out for Superman. But towards the end, when he started talking about things, and it wasn't like he was just going off on what is it that from The Incredibles when you talk too much, you monologue. He wasn't
monologue.
He did a good job not monologuing. He just liked to have the stream of consciousness talk going while he was, kicking Superman's ass. And I liked some of the stuff he was revealing. He was talking about, when Superman accused him of envy and stuff, and he's like, damn straight I envy this, and then he kind of he completely talks about what that's all about. You start to understand him more, and he was smart. He really found a true weakness of Superman, and that's the way he was able to use that whole messaging about the parents against him, and.
Okay. Now that's God. There's a lot I want to talk about on.
Okay.
Lex Luthor himself. I enjoyed him. I thought he was really good. I almost, for what we were getting, I thought he was a young version of what Lex Luthor would be, where he's not the sit around and manipulate stuff. He really got into it. He was physical with an intelligence, and I thought it was really good. I enjoyed him. I thought he was really good. Now. Here's my question, because I didn't get a great answer from a lot of the people I listened to, and I didn't get to see it again, so I can't tell. The video that they sent out to turn everybody against Superman, right, to get Superman canceled. Do you believe it was modified by Lex Luthor and his team to put in that stuff, or was that the actual message?
I believe that was the actual message.
Okay.
And I think that's even something that Mr. Terrific backed up in the movie. He says something about, I know the guys that vetted that thing, they tell the truth. Anyway, I think it's, it is James Gunn choosing to kind of screw around a little bit with the lore of Superman, but I don't think it's a huge. I mean, it's interesting, but it also backs up who Superman is and where he really gets his strength from. The way they played the parent video at the end.
Yes.
Was just like, oh my God, that got to me emotionally.
No, it does. It really plays the Kryptonians as not good people, right? His parents as not good people, not good aliens. They're not here to save the world. They're not decent people.
I don't know. I mean, I think that it's probably up for interpretation, which is fair. But it really
turn the Earth into a new Krypton. Overpower these people and take them over.
True, but again, this is the interpretation. We're not linguists. This is something that's interpreted from.
That's what I mean by.
No,
was it doctored?
No, I don't think it was doctored, but any sort of.
Okay, then if that's what they said.
Well, what is it in Stargate? Remember Stargate, the movie, and when the guy, the nerdy guy, James Spader appears and he retranslates the message on the Stargate, and he just it's like, I think sometimes, idioms or things like that don't translate well. I think there's always room for that. And when you're talking about motivation and things like that in a message that's been interpreted, it can take a flight. So I'm sure
this one was pretty written. I mean, unless they read it wrong, right? Unless they read the actual words wrong, it was pretty much take over the world, create a new race of Kryptons by your taking a harem and impregnating all these women.
Sure.
It basically was I don't know if there's a way to not misinterpret it.
I guess what I mean is that when we read other religions, when we read other cultures, and we read some stuff that just doesn't jive with our culture or jive with our religion, and suddenly we're just aghast. It's like, this is ridiculous. I think
didn't
sometimes
they use the words take over? Didn't they use the words actually?
That's all fair. I believe,
that's all I was saying.
I agree with what you're saying. At the same time, I just think there's interpretation is different, especially when you're interpreting different cultures. But it also it leans into Clark Kent's, Superman's idealistic view on things, is that he has this kind of very simple good versus bad.
Yes,
because
it sets it up.
Yeah. Okay.
It sets it up to be nature versus nurture. right? A little bit of nature versus nurture.
Okay.
Nature would have been, follow your birth parents, follow the commands of your Kryptonian
Sure.
do this.
Sure.
And he thought that's what he was doing because he got the first part of the message, which also led into his nurture, which was his adopted parents from Kansas, the ma and pa. Fuck, what were their last names? This is why I'm not a Superman fan. They just, it set that up, and I'm glad we didn't get the
Kent.
death of the father,
Martha and Jonathan Kent. Yeah.
God, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. I was
Of course, Martha. Martha. What's that from? Batman and Superman.
Yeah, Batman v Superman. Jeez, God, I hated that. It was so bad. But it they played him a little hokey, a little dumbed down. But what they did is they showed the heart.
Ah, yes.
Right. The father sat down and he says, "Look," he goes, "our job is not to tell you what to do. Our job is to lead you towards you making
give you the tools so you can make decisions.
Make a fool out of yourself on your own." I really, you're right. You want to talk about, I don't cry a lot in movies, but that started to jerk a tear out of me. And anytime there's a father-son thing, just because of how I was raised with just my father, I get a little tore up, and I was like, oh man, and it just. But if we didn't get
one of those that almost final image of dad raising the boy above his head so that his boy could fly, it's like oh my God, yeah, this is. The
new robots showing him show him the videos of his parents.
Yeah.
The first one was the,
it makes
him,
it soothes him. Exactly.
And you're like, oh, he's going to show it again. And then all of a sudden it's all the home videos of the Kents. And you're like, motherfucker, you nailed it. It was good. It kind of reminded me of the original. Like, we talked about that not too long ago. And there was the scenes with him talking to his dad on the farm and stuff like that. It has that feel.
Even with when Superman's caught monologuing at the end to Lex Luthor,
God.
And right after Krypto goes Hulk on
I'm
Loki,
more human than you.
Yeah.
The Loki.
Well, yeah. I mean that played out very much like the end of Avengers with
it kind of did. I also didn't think it did, but we can talk about that.
It was very enjoyable, but
it was.
But I thought what Superman said, it's like, hey, I'm trying to do what every morning I wake up trying to figure out how to make a difference and do something. I don't know the exact words, but I mean, he's like, that's what makes me human. And he even said, that's what makes you human. That's Superman to a fault, is where that he wants even the bad guys to figure things out and be good again. But,
you want me to read it real quick? I got it right here.
Oh yeah, do it, please.
He goes, you piece of shit alien. That's Lex Luthor, right? He goes, that's where you've always been wrong about me, Lex. I'm as human as anyone. I love, I get scared. I wake up every morning, and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other and try and make the best choices I can. I screw up all the time, but that is being human, and that's my greatest strength. And someday, I hope for the sake of the world, you understand it is yours too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think, an essence of Superman that a lot of people were really upset with Zack Snyder with the Man of Steel when he ends up killing Zod at the end, and it's like, oh my God, this is anti-Superman, and there was a big to-do about that. But in here, this is him trying to figure out how to make a good decision and using those words to try to get Lex Luthor to come around too, and Lex Luthor's like, screw you,
Well, I mean, I liked it because it was one of those, is like, he was so torn because he was so trying to follow this mantra that his original parents had given him, like, be this good man, protect this world. And then it comes out as like, no, protect this world so you can fucking enslave all the women and make a harem. And he's like, oh shit, I wasn't even thinking that. Like, my internet search, I got to clear it because that's not what I was doing.
Well, even Lois Lane, when Lois Lane had the interview with him, and he's like, I went to Moravia or whatever the country was, and I took the leader and I put him up against a cactus. You tortured him, all these things. Like, no, I was trying to do good and stuff like that. You're twisting my words around. No. He just kind of has this idealized version of, I'm going to do my best to save the world. And yet, there's consequences. There's, that it doesn't always play out. So he's naive in that idealism. And maybe that comes from the fact
that is a great point right there. Mm-hmm. And some of the people I was listening to today, they have, some love that scene, some hated that scene, some didn't like the fact that Superman got flustered and by Lois. And here's what I thought about that. So Superman or Clark Kent or whoever you want to call him, Kal-El, loves her without bounds, right? He is so enamored of her that, we go back to the 78 movie and where he, turns back time to save Lois, right? So they've been going out for a while. So he agrees to this interview with her and she attacks him. Right? She attacks his character, and they're like, oh, he doesn't know how to handle how to.
She doesn't attack it. She questions his character, but that comes across as
as an attack.
Yeah.
If your wife walked in on you or when you were dating and questioned what you thought was everything right about you, and I mean that, just questioned it, your first reaction would to get defensive, and that's what he did.
Yep.
And the fact that the person that you care so much about brings that to you, you're like, wait, we're supposed to be on the same team. How do you not understand what I think and how and to his downfall and his credit, he believes wholeheartedly he's doing the right thing, and he doesn't understand how she can't see it like he sees it. And I was like, I got it. And when I was listening to these other people, just like, oh, I can't believe how wimpy Superman was and how he couldn't answer these questions. And I was like, no, you don't get it. The person he cares most about, really, probably more so than his even parents and his real parents and his adopted parents and anybody else in this world, is Lois. And she doesn't understand his core beliefs and puts them in question. I mean, that's like everything you believe in the world, and someone going, are you really right? You're like, oh, fuck, what? Like, you're supposed to be on my side.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was another scene to me. I was like, oh shit.
Well, and this is an interesting exploration of Superman, because I know what you've complained about with Superman. He's fully powerful.
Overpowered.
He's just overpowered. And yet here we're kind of breaking down his weaknesses, his kind of idealism, his I want to do good, but at what cost? And someone questioning about what are the ramifications of what you're doing, and especially the one he loves, that's questioning him, and someone that's going to turn his whole world upside down by turning all his all the people he's trying to help against him, and questioning turning it into something where he questions his own motives. He can't even trust his own where he came from. What his truth.
That's what I think it was. It really it makes you sit back and think, is like, how often have you gone back and thought about your own beliefs?
I know it's one of those things that, you say, this is a core belief of mine that came from this, and you find out that thing it came from is completely 180 degrees opposite of what it really was. And then you start to question, well, man, that thing that I figure is a core belief is now based on shit. It's based on something that's completely opposite. Yeah, that's going to fuck up your world, And
that's what I thought was so, I mean, I've been in the past. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. I know I've told you before, and I know I've told Bo and Nina and stuff. Superman has been literally one of my least favorite of the big superheroes.
I think you mentioned that on the podcast. Yeah.
He's boring. He's overpowered. There's not a lot. I've never got into watching. I really enjoyed the 78 movie when we watched it again, and it brought back childhood memories. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. But I never got into it. I always thought Superman was kind of a dud. This Superman in this movie kind of changed my mind a little bit. I was like, I kind of like this guy. I'm kind of down with him. Like he wasn't overpowered, and some people, and granted, like some people are like, oh, they fucking really underpowered him. And I'm like, why does he always got to be overpowered? Like, that's kind of boring. If you can just beat up everybody you come across, what the fuck do you got? This was entertaining. And maybe that's what it was, is like, to be entertaining, you have to underpower him a little bit. Or it also is like, he's learning, right? He's growing. It's 3 years into him being Superman. He's going to learn how to be a better Superman. That was one of my other things with this, is like, he got his ass kicked a little too easy for supposed to be as how powerful he is, which means they underpowered him. But like, the whole,
well, they defended
Lex Luthor is,
they defended it with the fact that he was a clone, as far as the body.
I get
was,
the power, the
body was
power
matched.
level, yes.
Yeah.
So you've sparred before, Steve, right? With the martial arts and stuff like that. I don't believe that someone could study fighting so well that they could just give people fucking computer moves.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I agree.
Like
sure.
a video game.
Yeah.
There's just too many nuances.
There's no.
it.
Yeah, the point of view instinct has a lot. No, you're right. You're right. But
And
it was
the
still,
only bug that
I get you. Yep, that's a fair point.
that one bugged me personally because of my background in fighting and background and everything. And my other thing was like, did nobody else notice the video cameras just floating around? These fucking guys.
Crypto did.
Bad. Oh, that was so funny. Like, okay, now that was. Let's get on Crypto real quick, because
Okay.
funny as shit. Great dog. Like just added comic level to it. But did they go too far with him having to save him too many times? Because that was the complaint I heard from a couple people.
Well,
That, I mean, 3 times essentially, the 3 major things he was in, Crypto saved his ass.
so you got a lot of criticism in these podcasts where people thought he was underpowered. Is that?
Superman was underpowered. Crypto saved his butt all the time. Like literally, if the dog wasn't there, Superman would have been dead.
One of the things I noticed is that Superman was always trying to figure out a moral way out of things. Like, he didn't want to kill that giant kaiju. And it wasn't until the Justice Gang showed up and they just dropped a bomb into his belly, and he died, and Superman had to make sure he fell okay, so that it didn't crush anyone. But so Superman trips up on his own moral instinct to make everyone,
Yes.
he wants to spend time saving the squirrel, or things like that. But he also develops a certain, people. He creates these bonds where he's helping all these innocent things, like his loyal companion Crypto is now. He has developed such a relationship.
Is
with
it
Crypto.
really his loyal companion?
Well, I just mean the Crypto. I'm using that as kind of a.
No, I know what
basis
you mean.
Of that. Lex Luthor, he just treats everyone like shit, and so nobody is going to be loyal. And in the end, I think that. The guy, they were trying to turn on him in the end, and I think the one guy's like, "Here, I got the code. I'll give it to you." And Mr. Triffitt's like, "Stand back, I got this." But
I don't need your damn help.
I think a lot of Superman's strength is how he creates these bonds with people because he looks after everyone. He does. I mean,
yes.
and so when Crypto comes
weakness.
and helps him out, that's a Superman strength, because Superman created such a bond just because he,
Okay.
I
That's a good way to look at it.
This is me talking out loud. I don't know if that's actually the case, but
I think people so my only problem with it is like he had him pull him into the
Pocket
I
Universe.
think it was.
Oh wait, what?
No, his house, his something of solitude is
Fortress. Fortress of Solitude.
Fortress of Solitude, which I have to admit. So one of the podcasts I listened to before a long time, I haven't listened to it in a while. Some comedians that all live together. They called their apartment the Fortress of Solid Dudes. I was like, that's fucking hilarious. I was like, that is. It's all fantasy, everything. If you're ever into just comedians talking about fantasy drafting, the weirdest shit ever, check that out. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, they talked about having their apartment was called the Fortress of Solid Dudes, and I was like, God damn, I wish I would have fucking thought of that myself. Him pulling him back into there, great. but then he saves him. He pulls him out of the fucking Rainbow River of squares that won't let him go when he's got the baby.
Yeah.
He saves him. There was just too many times he fucking called him to save his ass. It was kind of like it was one too many. One too many. I wish. Here's how I think they could have saved it. Call him up, have him take the baby, and then let Superman be Superman. Like. He's trying to hold that baby out of the rainbow box river or whatever. I don't know. That was kind of a weird. I didn't care for that scene as much. Kind of. It felt like it could have been better.
I want to get back to that, but keep going with your thought. Yeah.
But I was just like, it was like the dog was great. They used him like one too many times. They went to that well one too many times. It was like the final. Yes, the Loki. Hulk kind of fucking thing worked. Not necessarily exactly the same, but it definitely was kind of very much like, oh, we got a Hulk and just pop, 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 pop. I thought that worked. It was just, it kind of went a little like because he called him right before that earlier too to defeat the clone Superman, Ultraman, I think they call him.
Yeah.
You know, they and he attacks all the videos and stuff like that. And then he also called him. It was just like one too many times.
Okay,
and so that was my biggest problem. I
disagree because I think this movie kind of used that as the basis of this movie. I mean, I think that companionship was shown as a strength of Superman, that ability to bring people together, and there's such an innocence with our love for our dog that. I don't know. To me, it felt very resonant in this movie that it was something that, at the same time. What do you have a comment?
You know what people were complaining about?
What?
So James Gunn went on record of saying that a lot of this came from like when this first started, he had adopted a dog.
Yeah.
And the dog is even modeled after his dog instead of the lab that is in comic books and cartoons and everything else. He modeled the dog after his adopted dog. So people were like, a little too much there, James. You know, keep your little personal life a little bit out of our movies here. You know, whatever. I enjoyed Crypto.
I totally get people complaining about that, but I say more power to James Gunn.
Oh my God! Wait!
What?
The people complaining. He fucking nailed it, right? Monkeys with keyboards. Just fucking Twitter fucking fantastic. Like just
that's what these complainers are, yeah. Yeah, but I think a director needs to bring something personal if they want to make this something that resonates, because it needs to come from something that's personal. And I think that's a fair thing to draw from if you're just going to model a dog after you know. So I like that because that shows that's him kind of trying to channel some of his love for his dog into this movie in a way that's going to add emotional resonance to it, and it affects movies in good ways, I think, typically.
Oh yeah,
but I can see how it piss people off if they're saying it's not comic book accurate, you know.
Well, I don't know if they were saying. I mean, people were.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I was surprised. There's
the wrong race of dog.
Actually, no one even brought that up. No one even brought that up. They were just like, "Oh my God, the dog saves the day too many times."
I know.
This was a very interesting. Like I said, people that didn't like this had
I'm gonna add
problems.
I'm gonna add it to my race debate next time we get into it.
Oh my God!
How about that time, James? I mean,
they switched the race of the dog.
Exactly.
It wasn't even the same dog.
To me, it's my way of pointing out sometimes the absurdity of people complaining about this stuff. So anyway. I want to go back to that scene because you talked about
the rainbow. I don't know what the fuck you would call that. The Rainbow River of Death.
Yeah, almost like Rainbow Bright Lego. I don't know. It had reminded me of the Lego movie, the way the lake was
very
all full of those little Lego things. But I found a lot of the action in this movie. No, just for a younger generation. You know, it felt.
Ooh, okay.
Which I was okay with. It's like to me, the part of the movie that I really connected with was, the conversations with Lois and some of the emotional debate of
You're getting old, Steve.
I know, I am. That's so. You know what I mentioned earlier?
I'm with you.
I don't know. I think this might have been pre-podcast on whether or not I wasn't even planning on seeing this a second time. It's because to me the movie was, the action was kind of like, oh yeah, this is all kind of fun, but it was, a lot of it was, to me, a little childish, and I think he was leaning into that, but I think he added something more to it that I really liked, but I got out enough with one viewing. I did end up seeing it a second time just because it had been so long. It came out almost a month ago, and we're only podcasting on it now. What the hell? But
we're not streamlined podcast where we hit the newest movies right away.
So anyway, I wanted to watch it again because there was enough that had been stuck in my mind that I liked.
Saw it yesterday and I wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
So I get you.
Again, I think there's some really good stuff here. The action stuff just wasn't my favorite. You mentioned the Mr. Terrific scene with the music. I loved that scene, but I do see your point that's a kind of a James Gunn staple that we're all kind of tired of. But the stuff, with the baby and I don't know.
To me, this is like Guardians of the Galaxy -1. Like if I had the choice between Guardians of the Galaxy and this, I would go Guardians of the Galaxy. But this has a very same feel. Like, I've always talked about rewatchability. I think this has it. I think it really does. It's very cinematic enough that like I would rewatch this easily. If this came on, this.
You okay?
This is a easy enough. I don't know.
My pocket universe that just opened up behind you.
Yeah, my crypto just saw some kind of fucking thing outside and went crazy. Maybe a kaiju. But like to me, if this was on a Sunday afternoon, I'm flipping through, I would stop and watch it. I really would.
Would you stay on it till the end, or would you like flip channels when it got to the Legos lake of river of Legos scene?
Oh fuck, the river part is boring to me. Like the whole pocket universe, the pocket universe kind of is boring.
I agree.
I do like the final fight between the engineer and Ultraman and. There's something about, even as much as I bitched and moaned about Lex calling out the numbers like he's playing a video game.
A1 or 1A, I think.
Yeah,
1A.
It was kind of fun. I was like, oh, that's a kind of cool scene.
I liked it because that's when Lex Luthor's character, to me, kind of came out of his shell a little bit, and I got a better understanding of who he was, and that's what.
I liked most about that is his little crew inside the command center and how they're interacting with him.
Otis.
We talked earlier.
Otis's last name in this was Otis Berg.
Yes. Otis Berg.
Otis Berg, right? which was the land from the map in Superman.
I was just gonna say that. I literally was just heading there. I was like, oh, they throw back so much to these things, and that was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. There's lots of parts about this that are rewatchable and also very emotional. The parts with the Kent family. Some people had some issues, like they made them like, oh, they just made them just real low intelligent, backwoods, country folk. And I was like, well, I mean, they're in Kansas on a farm, like. What do you want? I mean, not everybody's fucking New York.
The Kents, low intelligence.
Yeah, some people really had problems with them, and I'm like, they're farmers. What do you want? I mean, they're old farmers too. They're not even like.
But Pa dropped the biggest amount of wisdom.
Oh my god.
So where are you basing? What are you measuring intelligence on?
Well, that's what I mean. Is people are like, they're like, oh, well, they talk like backwood Okies or whatever.
Got a burrito, a delicious burrito.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I was like, you know what? Some people aren't so fucking worried about who's on Twitter and what's the fucking latest tweet. Like some people just care about what's going on in the real world. And so I was a little annoyed with some of the having a podcast of our own. Sometimes I'm like, oh, don't judge them too harshly. They're just doing their thing. But sometimes I was like, motherfuckers, I will 1-star your ass in a heartbeat. And So I literally was like, okay. And these are ones I listen to quite a bit. There's different people have different takes on stuff. And I was like, okay. Which brings me to my next point. And there was a lot of people that, and I mean, not even in the podcast, I heard that there was a lot of social interaction of like, oh, this is woke and this has this message and this has this. I was watching this and I was like, man, you really have to read deep into some shit. Like, you have to fucking put your own spin on some shit to really pull political shit out of this. And I was like, are we really at that point in our lives now where that's literally what's happening? And I was kind of like, and then listening to some of the podcasts, I got some of that too. I was like, oh, like, this is,
well, yeah, I think that's people
what I mean?
trying to go viral a bit by igniting some sort of woke debate or something like that. Because yeah, this talks about aliens, and that. So okay, we're comparing this to the current immigrant politics, and
right.
And I absolutely agree with you that it's silly to look at something and say, oh, I'm going to connect the dots just because that's what's in politics, that's what's in this movie, and obviously James Gunn is making a political point. But that,
yes,
yeah,
okay, good. I'm glad that you said that, because I was a little worried. I was like, am I just so tired of everything that I'm like, I just don't want to see anything, and so I'm trying to
it's sometimes I think messages in movies are messages that you can relate to things that are going on in politics because they're valuable messages that aren't there to, I don't know. I don't think there's always a motive sometimes. It's like,
right.
We're talking about Superman and he's got these kind of base ideals. And if the same thing that's going on in politics, you have people arguing by bringing up base ideals, okay, yeah, you're going to get some overlap. So sure, I think sometimes you can look at Superman and say, oh, hey, if they would only follow this messaging, they're going to figure things out. But I don't think there's any sort of direct messaging in this movie.
Okay, good. I was a little worried that I was just blinders on too much, because I try. I'm very bad with being on the socials and reading into shit and getting all fucking bent up, and I'm like, oh, I really don't care as much. Like, I don't need to see all this. And I didn't see any of that in this, and I was like, oh, did I just totally miss it because I was trying to not see it? Or okay. No, I think you're right though. As this interesting conversation is that we're right now, I don't know if you've even seen it, but there's a lot of backlash of a Gene commercial.
Yep.
Right?
Sydney
Blue
Sweeney.
Jeans commercial.
Sure.
Yeah. And so, I look at that and go, like, you can just look at that and go, yeah, it's just a Gene commercial, or you can dive deep and go, oh my God, I'm going to put my own spin on this, and this is this and this. And so it's like, oh my God, like, can we not anymore? So I
think those are what happens is hot buttons that there's one side that, maybe there's a few grumblers, and then the other side that picks up on those grumbles and say, I'm going to amplify what they're saying and show how ridiculous this is what they're saying. And then I'm going to turn around and cancel something else, and then it becomes this kind of like ridiculous messaging that it's like it makes both sides look ridiculous. And it's
God, you're right. You're not wrong on that. It is and I've always gone back to, it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, right? So everybody's trying to be that squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
Was there anybody in this that you thought was kind of miscast?
I was really impressed with the casting. That's a fair question. If you've got
the only one, and I didn't even notice this, and might be my own just not really paying enough attention and not caring as much. But Alan Tudyk, right, was Jerry, or Robot 4, I think he was number.
Oh, right.
So he was also in, I believe it was Mandalorian, as one of the Star Wars
No, he was
the
he not Mandalorian. He was in Rogue One. He was the robot.
Rogue One. Okay,
And he was also in the Nathan Fillion show Firefly. He was.
Oh, he was great in Firefly, but everybody was
he was excellent in Rogue One.
I thought he was excellent in Firefly. I loved him.
I did too. Yeah, I'm just adding Rogue One. I thought his portrayal of
well, that's what everybody was saying. Like, oh, it's just was it K2SO? You know, it's like, oh, it's the same voice. Matter of fact, you know, I just pulled up his IMDb, and one of the other ones that jumped up is his top 4, The Knight's Tale.
Right. Yeah, Knight's Tale.
Excellent in The Knight's Tale.
Yeah,
such a good one, right?
Sure.
With Heath Ledger and oh my God, that was just
Vision.
Right. Oh my God, so many good. But people were talking about that as being like, oh, why can't you just get someone different? And I was like, you know what, that guy is a voice act. Like his voice acting, he's on par. He does so many things.
I didn't know it was him until I was watching the Easter egg video yesterday. So I liked the portrayal. I thought it was an interesting dialogue he would have with, that was 4, right? I think he played 4, who was kind of the main robot. Some of the things.
Well, he got the name Gary at the end.
Right. and Superman was just kind of like, he didn't quite understand. It's like, what's wrong with 4? You know?
Yeah. Like 4 is a name too, motherfucker. You know.
But I certainly didn't equate that performance with the one from Rogue One. Rogue One is
people were just, calling it out like, oh, just doing the same voices. Like, well, the guy can only make so many voices. I mean, he's one of my favorites with him. And I don't know if you're into animation, but one of the funnest, just like so much fun as an animated series is the Harley Quinn. And it's on HBO. He plays so many characters. He's like the Joker, Clayface, and Clayface is the main one I know him from. It is one of those ones where it's like, we're just going to have fun with Harley Quinn and some other like villain characters and just kind of do this odd, weird shit. And he is so good as Clayface in there. It's just a fun, like kind of adult animation, like not like there's a bunch of sex or anything like that, but it's rated R for sure. It's pretty fun though. He's so good in that, but I loved him out of Firefly. Firefly was such a good show.
So you're not on the you were asking if there were any cast members that you didn't like. You've heard a lot of people were upset about that, but
people were calling that one out, and I was like, well, I didn't even realize.
I will say there were a couple cameos that that tripped me up a little bit. I was a little thrown off by Peacemaker's cameo just because
I thought it was great. I'm
just saying it threw me off. It threw me off. It's like it took me out of Superman a bit. It's like, wait a second, that's this. To me, Peacemaker was better than that cameo. The Peacemaker series was better than the cameo we saw there. It felt a little bit forced, and it also felt forced. And maybe this is just because I know Maxwell Lord, his brother Sean. I whenever I spot Sean, it's like it almost is a distraction, and he plays Maxwell Lord in just this quick clip. And maybe it's just because I recognized him. Oh, that's James Gunn.
I think
brother, and it threw me off.
He's setting up his brother for some work.
Yeah,
right. He's
Superman too.
Now, the Peacemaker one to me was like, okay, we're setting up. This is the world we're in.
This is the DCU. I get it.
And I loved it. And it was because I think it was after the clip cut, you could still hear his voice.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's like, yeah, they're all jealous of me because they're not jacked as like I am. And I was just like, that's fucking hilarious. That made me laugh. I literally was giggling. I watched this by myself, so I was sitting in a chair by myself, and I was laughing out loud.
I think it would have played better for me if they kept that scene in there, but didn't like cut to a direct clip of it, like full frontal. It was like maybe in the background a little bit more. So you saw it in the background and you heard the whole thing he was saying. But to me, it felt a little forced the way it was thrown in. This is just based off your question about what if there were any characters.
No, I get it because like there are a lot of Easter egg characters. Like the one that really got me was I'm trying to think of her name. She was one of the characters that was part of the Daily Planet. Cat.
Okay.
She's just like she was a reporter, but she's wearing like a vest jacket that just really boosted up her boobs and stuff like that.
Oh, right. Right.
I'm like, who the fuck is this character? Like, what is this? Like, are you what's going on here? And then they brought her into the Mr. Fantastic or Mr. Terrific. I'm gonna fucking call him Fantastic so many times. They brought him into his vehicle. And I was like, what's going on? Like, apparently that's from Lois and Clark, maybe, or. But I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, there were some things like that. I was just like, really? Like, there's little Easter eggs.
What do you think about the humor about when they took off from the top of the, and it fell and then it takes off? To me, that's almost like, oh, this is kind of silly. We've seen this.
It was.
Maybe it's just trying to play into the whole kid theme of this is also for kids a little bit more so than Man of Steel.
So I don't know if you watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies that were out not too long ago. There was some just ridiculous like physical humor, like like, oh, they're gonna fall down because of this. That's what that reminded me of. I was like, we don't need that.
What about the comic relief guy in the background with that Joe Namath mustache?
That's all he was. That's all he was.
You're okay with that? You thought to me his humor was a little obnoxious, and I thought it was.
And that's another character apparently that is from some of these other like, I don't know if they're comic book now. Yeah. Like I said, I don't. To tell you the truth, I don't know if I've ever read a full Superman comic.
Yeah, there was something from a comic. Most of these characters at least when I was watching these Easter egg things, they were pointing out all these. This is from this, and this is from that. This is from this.
It was really weird, and so those were the things that to me, like I get where they're trying to appease comic book fans, but I was like,
I like the joke when Mr. Terrific's garage door takes forever to open, but it also felt a little out of place. It's like, this is Superman. We're kind of getting this kind of silly joke, and so I don't. I'm not. You're right. I'm not sure what I think of that. But I am in agreement with you that I like where this is going. I like that they're kind of throwing a lot of stuff in here, and they're creating a world that is rich. It's not just a single story about Superman. This is a world that metahumans have been around for 3 centuries, and so we get a different take on what existence really is. There is no New York. There is no, instead we got Metropolis and what's Batman's Gotham, across the bay from each other. And that's the reality of this world because of how, the butterfly effect of metahumans appear and things don't quite play out the same way,
True. Yeah. Sean Gunn is in there as Maxwell Lord. I think that's going to set up some other stuff.
Supergirl. What do you think? Drunk Supergirl who went to a Red Sun world. I thought it was
interesting.
It was a strange introduction to Superman's
I think it's
cousin.
The next movie because she's coming out next year.
And she likes to party, but I guess you can't get drunk on Earth because of the yellow sun.
Be interesting to see how they make that one play out.
Yeah, I thought it was funny and boundaries, with the dog. But
bitches.
but it was an unusual introduction to a character. It almost looked like, here's this obnoxious teen.
Which she's apparently supposed to be older than him.
Huh. Well,
so maybe that'll be interesting.
Maybe that's something they changed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta pee.
All right, then I'll pause. Okay.
So, having to stop and pee, I made me think about. I wasn't able to stick around for the end credits because I was like, oh, okay, 2.5 hour or 2 hours 9 minutes. I had drunk some water and stuff. I was like, I had to run off. Did you watch the end credit scenes?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought I loved.
Was it worth staying around?
There were two.
I went and figured out what they were.
So I really loved the images from the first one which is just him and Crypto looking at Earth.
Sitting on him, looking at Earth and
which
stuff.
I thought was beautiful. The one at the end I thought was just kind of out of left field, where he and Mr. Terrific are looking at the wall, at a crack in the wall. The second time I didn't stick around the second time I watched it and wait to watch that again. It made me kind of tilt my head and go, what is this about? So I don't know.
So here's what I heard is this is James Gunn throwing some shade back to the Snyder boys and Snyder, and it's like, look, I broke up your world. We reset this shit. It may not exactly fit back the way you want, but that's what it is. And I was like, all right, I'll give him that. That's kind of cool. I was like, there's a bunch of different things in this where the whole monkeys on the typewriters typing out shit, where like that's him throwing shade at the people online,
haters, sure,
the haters and stuff. Although someone goes up, James Gunn, if your movie would have sucked, you basically set up the internet trolls to really fuck with you by calling it super shit. Hashtag super shit. And I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, there's a couple little things in there where he really throws shade at some real life bullshit, like internet trolls and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And that's what that final scene was about. I thought that was good. And I love the throwback. I guess he used the original soundtrack pieces from it from 78 and stuff like that.
Sure. And but then he did it in the key of, oops, that's my Gmail.
Key of awesome.
He did it in the same key that it was in a guitar. And it was in the key of the Tom Cruise Top Gun. He didn't. It starts in that key, which is different than what John Williams did. So because he wanted to, there was talk about trying to just kind of have that feel like Top Gun Maverick had, trying to reintroduce you to Superman.
So apparently the filming of him of the new Superman flying was kind of taken from Top Gun Maverick perspective of that kind of selfie cam flying mojo. And I was like, I don't know. There wasn't the magic that the 78 Superman, the movie, had, but there was something about it that was okay.
I liked it. I think they were trying to do something a little different just because it's like, hey, let's try to do something else.
You got to reinvent the wheel, so it's kind of like,
I really like that time when he looked at the kaiju and says, "Eyes on me," and then he shoots straight up. There's something about that. The way it was a little bit more playful, but yeah, there is that shot. It looks like the camera's just kind of floating in front of him. It wasn't until I kept watching, and most of the time he was flying with his arms by his side. It wasn't until at one point when he put him, like when he was really trying to go fast at one point. I'm
like almost like you're not flying if you ain't got a hand in front of you, at least one. It just, to me, it's not right.
It's a little weird, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Okay. The children that raised the Superman flag, right? And the
Superman
army versus the village of people. Any thoughts on that? Was it just movie setup? There's some people that had some issues with it as far as like how it might represent today's world, reading into shit, or was it like, no, that's just kind of like what a world would be with superheroes. It's like the people would want people to step up for him.
I did find it interesting in that how Superman at first viewed this was just from this ideal standpoint of I'm going to go in and stop a war, and I'm going to do it in ways that's like I'm going to teach this person a lesson. And figuring, I just fixed it. There it is. And then you realize that no, there's much more. It's more a game of chess. There's things that are going on in the background, which is felt a little bit more realistic. There are pawns. There are people being played. There are people being paid. There to kind of play into creating something that really doesn't exist, and but in the end there were still real lives at risk, and so it was trying to point that out. It kind of felt a little bit small, in that in that we just saw kind of this one little place where on the border where they're facing off. I did kind of find it amusing when Green Lantern showed up, and all the FU fingers,
the fingers
flipping the tanks and stuff like that, and it was a little overboard, but it was nice.
I thought that was great. I love that. To me, that was perfect for him. I was like, oh yeah, that's him. Guy Gardner he's not your babysitter type of Green Lantern, right? He's not someone you would leave your kids with.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, like, I did kind of enjoy the scene with them bringing up the flag. I'm like, it gives you the little chills. You're like, I get it. It's going to bring in, but he couldn't even show up, but it's cool that the other team showed up and fucking did their thing. And I thought it was fun. This was, I think James Gunn's got a good start to this next world where I don't know. I mean, do you think he can bring a Batman to this? Do you think James Gunn can do a Batman?
He is. It's not going to be sparkly guy. That's still DC, but it's not DCU. It's like whatever they call it.
I mean, I guess that'll be more
Otherworld, the
centric with the original, not the original Batmans, but the the 80s Batmans with the kind of the comic accurate, Penguin and Dr. Freeze and all those guys, the Val Kilmers. And
I mean, I thought Tim Burton did a pretty good job with it, but I thought those I was not a fan of Batman Forever, the third one with Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I thought that was ridiculous, and of course Batman and Robin was just obscenely
super ridiculous,
tacky, and stupid. So I don't know how they're gonna pull it off.
I said it'd be interesting.
You do see you do see the Gotham sign on one of the freeways.
Well, that's what I mean. It'll be interesting to see how they bring that in. Wonder Woman and Flash, if they're going to bring those guys in. Whether or not they're going to bring in some of these other off roster kind of characters. Martian Manhunter is one that I've heard potentially that people have been really, really asking for. So maybe we'll see some of that. Who knows? I'm looking forward to it. I think this is a good start to getting DC back into people watching it. There was so many bad movies for so long. I mean, the Wonder Woman one was kind of like a light in the dark where it's like, oh, this is actually really good, but there were so many others that were so bad.
It was good. There was something very pure. It was an origin story and had some good humor with some of the supporting cast. It worked.
But the follow-up was fucking so horrible.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Tune into our podcast from when we covered that a few years ago. That was Pedro Pascal. So Mr. Fantastic still.
I don't know. He's fallen off the fucking. He's kind of fallen off the pedestal. With I don't know. He's almost a little too much now.
I think his presence was amplified enough to where all the haters came out and like, I'm gonna cancel you because you're getting too big for your britches. So
I don't even think it's that. I think
all the monkeys are shit Pascaling him.
To me, it's not even that. To me, it's more like he's had some good hits and then he's had some like bad misses, and it's like the hits are not overcoming the misses anymore. So
I haven't seen enough of his stuff, but
But anyways, James Gunn, and I wish him all the luck in the world to bring this new DCU to life. I don't have a problem with the Marvel versus DC. I'm all good for as many as we can get of these that are good. Just give us good shit. Not to say Marvel is killing it either. We're going to cover some new stuff soon in a couple weeks with some stuff for that. I think Ironheart is next. That's Marvel. That's our next episode. That's a Marvel. We'll see how that holds up comparative. James Gunn, do your thing. Bring us more good stuff, and I'm looking forward to this. I think he started off with a bang. I guess it really started with Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. He also did an animated series.
Did he? Okay.
It was Creature something.
Okay.
Creature Commandos, which I think is kind of like a Suicide Squad with different characters. It looks like you got the Bride of Frankenstein, and some like a radioactive skeleton and some other things like that. So he's kind of got he's playing his role in the DC world. We've got Peacemaker season 1. And then season 2 is coming out very soon, if I'm not mistaken, like within a week or two. So that should be.
They already dropped a trailer, so
I haven't seen it yet. I thought John Cena is so funny as Peacemaker. To me, I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah, I loved the first series. This one didn't. The trailer didn't resonate like the first trailer did. So, but I'll still watch it because, although I don't think James Gunn, he directed all the episodes from the first season. This one, I think he farmed some of it out. I'm trying to find where that is.
Yeah, I'm looking at. He got him down as writer, but not necessarily director.
Season 2. Written by Wright, but he directed a handful, 3 episodes. So
okay, well, good for him.
Actually, a couple of them still say to be announced, so maybe he directed more than 3.
Okay. So yeah, we'll see. That's coming out in here in a couple of weeks. Great, because I could use some stuff to watch. With that, yeah, I don't think there's too much else to talk about, other than that haircut should be against your vows.
Well said. Hail Caesars.
What does that mean?